Hello and welcome to the Bears and Lions podcast. This is the podcast where we challenge our present by viewing our past. I'm a firm believer that our greatest future lies within the correct view of our past, because when you actually look at your past, you may learn that you have the skills to cook perfectly al dente pasta, delicious pasta. That's right. Today I'm talking about cooking and I'm talking about dreams and passions, and I cannot wait for this conversation. It's going to be a blast. So let's get into it and I'll see you on the other side. I love cooking. I love food. Like, those are two things that I will always love. And I've probably said it on this podcast already like a million times in the first 76 episodes. Like, I love food. But today I'm super excited because I get to talk to you about one of my favorite foods, and that's pasta. One of the reasons why I love pasta is there's so many different variations. There's so many ways to make it. There's shells, there's linguine, there's angel hair, there's penne pasta, there's elbows, like there's lasagna, there's ravioli, which is stuffed pasta. Like, it's incredible. I'm getting excited thinking about it. But then you think about the sauces. Maybe you want an Alfredo sauce. Maybe you want a wine sauce. Maybe you want a lemon sauce. Maybe you want a pesto or a red sauce or a marinara of some sort or a bolognese. Like, there's so many examples of pasta that you can enjoy. And of course, one of my goals is to eventually be able to go to Italy and have authentic Italian pasta, because it's just so good. I love it. Specifically, I love my pasta just a little bit al dente. Now, al dente is an Italian word. It means to the tooth, which means the pasta should have enough bite to it, but it should also be tender enough to easily chew, right? It takes practice and precision to learn when pasta is undercooked or overcooked so you can reach that perfect al dente bite. The same goes for our passions and our dreams, right? I think some of us are so afraid of overcooking or undercooking our dreams that we never really even put the pasta in the water. And what I mean by that is, when I was thinking about my dreams and what I wanted to do, aspirations in my late teens, early 20s, I really wasn't sure what I wanted. I knew the type of person I wanted to be, which was great. But I also had some specific tangible goals and things that I could have done, and I didn't actually do it. I wish I had, but I didn't. And so I found myself in this almost like a purgatory in my 20s, where I would go a couple years and do one thing, do a couple years and do another thing, but I never really pursued a passion, right? It's that process of overcooking. I think I overcooked in my 20s. And I'll give you an example, because in 2013, I visited a school to study sports broadcasting. I knew it was my passion. I knew it was a goal of mine. It was something that I wanted to do. I knew I was supposed to go. But instead of going to that school for sports broadcasting in 2013, I took a job in a completely different state, doing something completely different. And for 2 years, I essentially overcooked my passion. I took this great dream and I put it in a pot and I just forgot about it. I forgot to take it out for 2 years. It was overcooked. Now, maybe you're like me. Maybe you've had a great idea. And I've had so many great ideas, right? You have this great idea. You're like, this would be incredible. What if I could do baskets, and it would be like jessysbaskets.com. You like buy the domain or whatever it is, and you set things up and you're like, I'm going to do this. This is going to be awesome. And you have this great idea, but then day 2 comes along and you kind of like, okay, yeah, it's a little bit more difficult. And you end up doing nothing with it. And it just sits. And then somebody comes out and they're like, yeah, we're going to do these really cool baskets. And you're like, oh, I had that idea to do that. But somebody else did it because there was a market for it, but you just never did it. I've done things like that. I've had hundreds, probably even thousands of great ideas that I think would have been very valuable, but I've only had the courage to do a few of those and try a few of those. I wasn't somebody who always had the courage to say, you know what, I'm going to step out and try this, or I'm going to try that, and this is my passion, so I'm going to go for it. I made choices where I was like, ooh, piece of candy, all through my 20s. My 20s could be called ooh, piece of candy. If you know that meme or that clip, I was just following the whatever seemed the best. And I look back on my life and there were so many things that I missed and could have been different. Now I'm happy with where my life is. And so there's a little bit of a retrospect of thought process through this. But there was a lot of things that could have gone very, very, very different. But I took the time living in Louisiana where I was kind of pursuing, where I was like, oh, this is fun. Like, I'm pretty good at managing and I like this environment a little bit. And this is kind of cool. I'm getting to open restaurants and I'm getting to meet a bunch of new people and I'm moving around and I'm making not great money, but it was okay money to survive during that adventure. So it wasn't like I was in super need, but it also wasn't like I was doing great. And it wasn't something I was ultra passionate about, but I was passionate because I got recognition. And it was nice to hear somebody say, you're doing a good job at this. So I kept doing that. And as I've kind of grown, I've realized that life happens really, really fast, right? And now I'm 35 years old and I look back 15 years ago. Some of you are probably just now 15. I look back though on these times, there's always going to be these what if moments. And I wonder sometimes, what if I had gone to the school in 2013 for sports broadcasting and I finished things up in 2016 instead of going in 2016 and finishing in 2019, right before COVID. So if I got done in 2016, maybe I get established in a good job or I work my way up over the 3 years. And by 2020, when COVID shut everything down, maybe I'm in a strong enough job where I can make it. And then where am I? I don't know. Would I be enjoying it? Absolutely. I have no doubt in my mind that I would not absolutely love every second of it. And there's always going to be what if moments. But it's the process of being able to learn through your experiences when you're overcooking or undercooking your pasta or your dreams or your purpose, right? I genuinely, when I look at my 20s, one of the key things that I learned is that sometimes your dreams are best served in the trash. And it's not because you don't deserve them or you can't reach them or anything like that, but it's because you're just not skilled enough to know when it's al dente or not. You have no bite, essentially, in that profession yet. And this doesn't mean you have zero skills. It might mean that your skills would better fit you in a different profession, and that's okay. And as I've gone through my life, of course, I've tried a bunch of different things. I tried sports broadcasting, which I love, and one day I might find myself back in it because my skills might match the ability of where I am in life, and I might have an avenue back into it. And because I went to school for it, I might have a little bit of a direction and connection, so I'm not going to be upset about it. But clearly, I am not working in sports broadcasting right now. You could argue, but Kyle, you're doing a podcast, so aren't you doing broadcast? I'm so glad you mentioned that because I realized that in my job, my day-to-day job, guess what comes up so often when I'm talking to clients? Sports. Guess who has great opportunity to have communication and conversations with them in depth about sports? Guess who can give some extra insight because of my background in sports broadcasting? Me. So everything has worked out where my skills have grown and I'm now in a job where I really enjoy because I still talk about sports, but I'm also loving doing the podcast where we talk about sports every few episodes, but we don't talk about them all the time. Like, I love sports, and maybe one day I'll have the ability and the time to do a full sports broadcast or a full sports podcast, or maybe I'll end up getting an opportunity to change my entire career into sports broadcasting. I don't know, but I do know that I've lived life intentionally. I've tried really hard to live life intentionally and learn how to cook the dreams and passions and my purpose so that it's perfectly al dente. It has some bite to it, but it's tender enough for people to enjoy and chew. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. If you want to connect with me further, you can find me on my social media. I'm most active on X, which is formerly known as Twitter, at Kyle Vaught. That's Kylev as in Victor, ATT. But I'm also trying to become a little bit more active on Instagram and Threads, which is at Kyle_Vaught. So shoot me a follow, shoot me a message, say hi, or maybe there's a topic that you want me to discuss on a future podcast episode. Either way, I cannot wait to get connected. Now let's get back to the conversation. And that's what this podcast I try to do, is make it al dente for you. So sometimes your dreams are al dente. Now, here's the flip side of it. I mentioned I love cooking. I'll say it again. I will always say it. I love cooking, but one of the things I love along with cooking is cooking shows. I basically will watch any cooking competition there is. Not thrilled with baking competitions, but I'll watch them. My favorite cooking competitions are the ones with Gordon Ramsay. So like Next Level Chef is great. I also love Alton Brown. So anything that he does with Food Network, or Beat Bobby Flay. You've got Iron Chef. You've got Cutthroat Kitchen was one of my favorites. You got Chopped. All of those, I love them. But some of my favorite, like Master Chef with Gordon Ramsay. There always comes a point, right? There comes a point in each of the seasons of the competitions where Gordon Ramsay will open one of his restaurants and he'll have the contestants cook there. And he'll be expediting the plates out to the guests or checking them, make sure that they're up to par to his restaurant. And it is like, it's inevitable. There's always one plate. Gordon will grab a plate and the music will change, like where it'll zoom in, and Gordon will check, and then he'll just look at somebody with this scowl and he'll say, "It's raw." And he'll show, and like the chicken's raw, or the shrimp is raw, or the steak, he'll be like, "It's still moving." Like I love it. I love it. It's so entertaining. But one of the lessons that I've learned from watching cooking shows and learning how to cook myself is there's not a fast lane, right? There is no fast lane when gaining the skills to complete the job. Let me rephrase this. There is no fast lane when gaining the skills that are required to reach your job or your dream job or your goals. It's like the chicken that has been improperly grilled, right? On the outside, oh, I'm ready. Oh, it looks good. Oh, look at that char, and it looks delicious. But then you cut into it and it's raw. See, so many of us, we want to rush it. In my 20s, I wanted to rush my dreams. I can do this quickly. I can figure it out like this. I can do this, and this, and then I'm going to be successful. But through my journeys and through my 20s and early 30s, I've learned all of that is learning how to cook. See, your passions and your purpose, it's all about learning. I'm not ready yet. It may look like I'm ready, but I'm not. Because you know the touch of what rare versus medium rare versus well done looks like. And you know what you're looking for. You know this purpose is going to need to be right at that medium rare. Somewhere around there. So you don't want to cook it too long, no, but you don't want to take it off too soon. And so many people want to get rich quick. They want to reach success early. And there are people who get success early, but then they have to backtrack and learn. It's like somebody who, if you had 1 out of 100 chance to win a lottery of $1,000, right? And somebody goes 99 times without getting $1,000. They know the next one's $1,000. But then there's the person right next to him who on number 5, boom, wins $1,000. Now, both people had the same chances. It just happened in a different time. Now, the person who's done it 99 different ways might have a little bit of better understanding than the person who's only done it 5 of whatever that challenge may be or whatever that drawing may be or however that may have a skill, right? If it's not just a lottery, it might be a skill. And I think that that's where there's a generational, I think there's a shift right now happening where more and more young people and more people my age are realizing life didn't go the way that our parents' lives went. It's a different world, but people are similar and people are the same. So we've pursued different passions and we've opened up different doors, and there's different technologies that has allowed us to pursue certain things, but it's not exactly the same world. And so we are starting to wake up and recognize, okay, it may be a different world, but people are still similar. So if I work with that mentality of I'm going to get the job done, I'm going to learn the skills, and I'm going to put it to work, then there will be a better chance that you're going to succeed. Overall, there's just more and more chances versus what we've seen over the last, I would say 10 years, more and more people who they want success without putting in the time. I follow people on social media, and one of the social media posts that I saw recently, this was actually not from somebody who I follow. This was somebody else, but one of the social media that I followed was this guy who essentially, I don't know if it's a parody or if how it works, but he'll talk as if he's an employee at a job, and he'll talk as if he's the employee and a manager. And one of them that I saw was he was talking about, I've put in for PTO and I'm going to do, I'm not going to be here. And the manager says, well, I didn't approve the PTO. And he was like, it doesn't matter if you approve it. I'm just not showing up. And I think it's a parody, but what it triggered in me was I remember when I was in management, I would do everything I could to approve people's time off. Everything in my power. But there was a lot of times when it was either we're open for business or we're not. Now, not every company is like that, but if that was the rule for everybody, it'd be very difficult. And I think about that, and I think about the work that people put in. I just feel like there's this shift that's taking place over the last, I'd say 8 months. I've noticed this shift on social media and friends that I have that are pursuing diets, they're pursuing exercise, they're pursuing the pursuit of health and growth rather than just, I want fame, fortune, wealth, and success. It's, I want to be the best version of myself, whether I'm where I'm at right now or in a different job. And what's really cool is I've watched a couple friends who have just grown. They've continually grown and they're doing new things and better things. And it's been really awesome because we've all celebrated in our different little successes. And I've got a group of friends that we all got promotions all at the same time. And it was just this really cool moment of recognizing that we were all pursuing better things. We're all trying to be better. And here we are where that hard work was paying off. So the purpose in this conversation, because we're going to wrap up, so it takes time to gain the skills. And maybe you're in your mid-20s and you're wondering, what am I doing? I would challenge you. Are you pursuing your dreams and passions, or are you procrastinating? Are you overcooking your dreams and passions by basically just leaving them in a pot just to sit and boil? Or are you recognizing, hey, I need to take these out. I need to actually put them to the test. I need to start working on it. I need to take this batch out and put a fresh one in. Maybe you need to take a new dream and trial again to learn how to cook that al dente pasta. And of course, that is our dreams in our scenario. I think it's very fascinating whenever I think of my journey, and it doesn't feel like it's been 15 years since I was 20. It feels like it was 2. And out of all the things I've done and all the skills I've gained, I can't say I would change anything, but I do wonder, what if I had done things a little different? I think life would have looked a lot different. Maybe I would be in a different place. Maybe I would be little bit more successful or a little bit happier or whatever, but that's okay. Maybe I, am in a completely worse situation. I don't know. But it's okay to have those thoughts of what if. And I give you permission to have those thoughts of what if this happened? It should be fuel. It should be encouragement. It should be, okay, what if? And then the next time there's an opportunity for you, that what if question comes into your mind. You go, what if I take this? What if I don't? And then you start playing out some scenarios, and then you make the choice and you say, I'm going to pull this pasta because it's al dente. I'm ready to go. It's going to be great. I'm going to be able to do this job. Maybe you get a great job opportunity. Maybe you ask a girl to marry you, or maybe you're ready to start having kids, or something comes up where it's like, you know what? Somebody needs to move in with you. Okay. It's al dente. I have the skills to know that it's al dente, and I'm going to move forward, and this is going to have a little bite to it, but it's going to be chewable. That's going to do it for this episode. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. As always, I really hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week. Remember to give grace, show love, and as always, stay stellar. Peace.